Oh, what's this? You gotta go. Am I the only one that cannot get attached to the characters they make? Sometimes even the characters they see online? Do not get me wrong. I like learning about people's OCs, even when they're the same, my 2K high school band, or failed experiment, or a really bad romance plot with the same girl boxing. No, my joke, I can't do it anymore! Look, do whatever the you want, but Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, that's all I've been seeing as of recent. I still eat it up every time though. Thanks for the egg. Loki, I'm guilty of creating characters just because I want to own characters that have specific dynamic, like the single dad trope or the enemies to lovers, and I really enjoy them for a while, but then I forget about them because they don't exist outside of those dynamics, and a lot of my characters don't even have names, so they're left in the endless abyss of forgottenness bars. However, I do have 2 stories that I think may make it past the talking stage, so please hear me out for 10 minutes while I also just rant. No! Some people just design characters for fun or for their own happiness, which is fine. I'll allow it. Whatever. You have free will and the ability to, not listen to me at all. Crazy. I know. There's just certain tropes that I think are so repetitive or annoying or just very plain. There's been a rise in a few of them. Like, that one quote, you are what you consume. I feel like I've been consuming the same story over and over and over when trying to look for inspo, which is I feel like it's stunting my ability to grow and create, you know what I mean? I don't want to be left with these stories that go nowhere because they're no longer trending. I'm just a copy of what I'm seeing online because it's popular. I also feel like people only consume each other's stories online rather than explore other types of media for inspiration through animation memes, commentary videos, whatever. Y2K or early 2000s characters have been on the rise, but they feel so repetitive because I feel like people are just copying off of each other. Don't get me wrong, your girl eats it up like Thanksgiving dinner, but I feel like no one is actually exploring what life was like in the early 2000s. No, the Pinterest outfits you see aren't exactly what normal people wore on a day-to-day basis, so every person from your 2000s world doesn't have to be a fashion god. A simple t-shirt and skinny jeans can go a long way. I know, silhouette, making a character stand out, blah blah blah. I'm not talking to people who actually grew up during those times, but I think it's safe to assume not many people were born in the 50s and they're still kicking in the animation community, so I feel like there's no excuse for that. What I'm trying to say is, know what you're talking about. Don't just take things from the surface level. That's boring. Make your shit stand out. I think it's obvious when someone doesn't know much about the topic they write about, which is where stereotyping can come into play if you're not careful. If you're serious about your story and taking it somewhere outside of your sketchbook or small audience, it would not kill you to consume some movies or books that share a similar plot or setting as your own story, or just consuming things outside of social media. Go outside. Even reading articles online will better help you understand your story and articulate it better than the majority of the ones you see online because you're more knowledgeable and therefore, better at writing. For example, I have these 2 characters inspired by the book Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris. In short, it's a psychological thriller that explores the quote-unquote perfect marriage between the newly wedded Jack and Grace. Everyone thinks they're so utterly in love, completely unaware of the abuse that takes place, behind closed doors. When I started reading it, I couldn't literally not stop. I refused to eat, do my work, or sleep because I just wanted to read it. It was pretty bad. But my 2 characters, Clementine and Joseph, they kind of follow the same premise. Clementine was a woman that every man wanted, to the point where they would line up just to talk to her or ask her out. However, none of them really interested her until Joseph came along. It was pretty obvious that Joseph had a huge crush on her. Grown-ass man giggling and kicking his feet thinking about her. It's disgusting, really. But Clementine didn't reciprocate yet, even with his constant gifts and charming personality. He was patient with her, which was a trait she found herself appreciating a lot, because growing up, she was kind of a gifted kid who put too much pressure on herself and felt like she was always running out of time, kind of projecting. Eventually they got together, got married, have kids, yada, you know the rest. But behind all that charm lies the real Joseph. Basically, a few years into their marriage, Joseph started cutting off small parts of Clementine's body and putting it in their dinner, justifying by saying it was because he loves her, / it's his way of loving her, and he wants to be connected to her in a way no one will ever be. The kids don't notice, they think the food tastes scrumptious, and Clementine doesn't even realize herself until he starts moving on to more noticeable parts. Now look, when you say it out loud, it's kind of morbid and maybe crosses a few lines, But it's an extreme way to convey what I want people to understand, which is just because someone loves you does not mean you have to accept the way they love you. Okay, trigger warning, but if you've ever watched the short film The Strange Thing About the Johnsons, you know the point of the film is to reverse the roles of sexual abuse. The victim is no longer the child, but instead the parental figure. It's almost unheard of, which is why it sticks with the audience. It's unfortunately very common that people don't take sexual abuse in a family between a child and an older member seriously, and it often does get dismissed. To demonstrate the son as the predator conveys the message of like, it's disgusting to see the son act this way to his father, so it should be disgusting to see anyone act that way to any person. Like, it should still carry the same weight if it were to be the more quote-unquote normalized version of the child as a victim. It just has to be demonstrated in a twisted way so you get the message. You know what I'm trying to say? This is not at all to say that parents can't be abused by their children. It's just that parents tend to be the abuser. My point is, I took the element of extremity and used it in my story to tell a message. I'm not trying to justify Joseph or who he is, or say cannibalism should be normalized, or say it's okay, or whatever. I wrote this story kinda as a coping mechanism, and I used darker elements to demonstrate the intensity, once again, of the message I'm trying to convey. The video has nothing to do with my story, but I could still take inspiration of it. You know what I mean? Like, just like looking deeper. And I'm not saying I'm a god at writing or that my story is flawless. Got in it kinda close though. But I'm saying that a good artist takes inspiration and copies from everything they see and makes it into its own piece, even if it is a cannibal murderer. What can I say? Which kind of brings me to my next point. What the hell is up with people trying to make really devilish OCs? Yeah, sure, people are naturally morally gray, but some people are genuinely just stacking up crimes to give to their characters. This shit is not Jenga. I understand wanting to have a villain or wanting to have someone to juxtapose with the main character who is morally better, but I literally do not see a point in adding a pedophile to your magical girl anime inspired story. For some people have like no story but these horrible characters. It's like a fetish, and it's fucking weird, especially when these characters are conveyed in a way that implies we should tolerate their behaviors or who they are on the same level as any other character. I don't know, like, oh yeah, I kind of like, I diddle my fingers and some stuff, but it's okay. It's just a little side hobby. If they're meant to be evil, I think we should be able to know that they're evil without being told. I feel like you should also visually demonstrate it. Don't put a piece of paper on their back describing who they are. That's just boring and also weird. If you're gonna make a character evil, don't do it in a way that glorifies them. Okay, the last point I want to bring up is the constant rush of creating characters. Guys, slow. Why are some of y'all racing and speeding? Genuinely, some of y'all niggas just be just throwing stuff out there and going right back to the field, bro. Take some time to digest. You know what I mean? Because there's people out there with like 200, 300 OCs, and I'm still stuck with the same 1, 2, 3, 4. It doesn't even add up to 10. Like, dude, I don't know what that's about. Like, as a character designer, sure, maybe it's your job to pop out 20 characters a day, but I mean, so many people are obsessed with the designing the characters and not fully writing them. You're not required to, sure, but a lot of people just design them with the intent to give them a story, and it feels hard to connect with characters this way. And yeah, maybe I'm guilty of falling victim to the constant designing and no plot. It's fun, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of exhausting. Like, it takes time to build a connection with these characters. If you're not connected to the characters, why should I feel connected to the characters? I'm talking in the mirror right now. It's hilarious. Like, there are some fire ass designs out there, and they don't get used. Please use that OC front, back, up, down, left, right. Do not let it fall into the abyss of nothing. Please, I beg. And I'm not gonna hold you. I don't do those 100 questions to ask your OCs because, God help me, I don't know. I don't know how Joseph would react to his pet fish dying. Probably serve it as dinner, I don't know. But I wouldn't say it's the most unimportant thing to ask questions about your characters, even for irrelevant things. It's like getting to know a person. Sure, their favorite color is orange. Weirdo. But what about the color of their room walls? I feel like you can tell a lot about a person from that. Or what their opinion on their birthday is. Do they see it as a day all about themselves, or do they slowly wait for it to pass because they can't stand the attention on them? What about the answers to the questions tell you about your character? It can be trial and error too. my other story involves these two characters, Emmanuel and Denise. And at first the story was going to take place in the 70s and they were going to be college students that were like academic rivals. But I wanted their story to expand outside an educational setting and be more quote unquote in the real world. Their tension from college is still canon, but that's no longer like what the main story is about. Emmanuel and Denise were also both going to be working at the same law firm as paralegals of two different lawyers, but I decided that only Emmanuel would be paralegal while Denise would work at a bar close by. Like, it's not required to know everything about your characters immediately. And allowing them to marinate allows you to cook up something special. I'm telling you. You can take the time to think about even the tiny things and add it to your character if you think it would fit. Like, for example, Emmanuel was white and was adopted by two black parents who couldn't have children. Does that matter to the actual story? Maybe not, but it adds to Emmanuel's character and how he behaves. It could also change if it conflicts with something more important later on. Like, it's literally okay to take your time. Like, damn, some of y'all are genuinely allergic to storyboarding and sticking to one thing. If you can multitask different stories at once, fine, that's on you, but breathe. Please, you can slow down. I actually love Emmanuel and Denise so much. They've gone through so many changes, but I feel like I can summarize the part of the story that is gonna stick. So, I'm gonna need you to listen real quick. So, when Emmanuel was around the age of 5, he met a girl that literally felt like a ray of sunshine. There was something so particular about her that stood out. But one day she stopped showing up at the park they would normally play at, and he never saw her again. Now, at nearly 30 years old, he lives a normal life, working a decent job, with no excitement in his life. He does occasionally go to a bar though, and while there, maybe some worker tells him and he learns about an old folktale about the sun goddess and her separation from the god of death. The sun goddess was in love with the god of death, but because her dad, some other god, I'll figure out which one, felt they were incompatible, he told her to stay away from him. She didn't listen, yada yada, so her dad banished her from home, kind of made her immortal, but not really, and gave her a curse where she ultimately became scared of the concept of death. Basically, to explain this in the least confusing way, the sun goddess lives as people on earth, but whenever she feels the god of death, like she feels like a near-death experience is about to happen, even when it's really not, she gets scared and escapes by ending the life she's living and becoming reborn as a new person. Kind of like a snake shedding its skin or some shit, I don't know. I wanted there to be like a symbol of some sort, kind of like the glowing butterflies that Chloe sees in Life is Strange, to tell the sun goddess that like death is like right around the corner, like he's getting closer. But he's not even trying to hurt her either. He just wants to be with his bae again. The thing is, the sun goddess is 100% of the person's consciousness. The person she lives as aren't really alive, nor do they have a soul outside of her, but the sun goddess can pick and choose what personality she wants to adapt in each life. However, in one of those lifetimes that changes, wink wink, and maybe in that lifetime, the person shares consciousness with the sun goddess and is aware that they can technically die at any time and have to tread lightly and basically has another person living in their head. Emmanuel eventually runs into Denise at the bar, who recently got hired there, and they both become acquainted. There's still some tension from college, but they both pretend it's not there. But Emmanuel starts getting these feelings, not necessarily romantic, but the same way he felt when he was with that girl during his childhood. That warm feeling despite Denise's cold personality. Tell me y'all see the vision. Tell me y'all see the vision. There's so much more I don't even know how to describe, but I'm in love with them. They're like the only OCs I can tolerate or give a diddly dick about. So the story is nowhere near done, but it's on the right track. We're trucking along. To summarize, it's kind of insane how much OCs have developed throughout the years. Back in the day, I feel like they were considered mad cringe and weird kid behavior, but now everyone's making them. Like, yes, so many angels are gaining their wings, bro, yes. Once again, like, literally do what you want. Making characters is mainly just for fun. And this is my way of having fun with my own characters. I like telling you what you should be doing. I feel like nothing I said connects and I'm just babbling, but I hope I made some sort of sense at some point in this video. So, yeah, I think it's around the holidays when I will be posting this. So, happy holidays and happy new year. Bye bye.